Have you ever felt like you're constantly running a race in a marathon, but there's no finish line? Or every day you're striving to be a better version of yourself, but somehow you still are left wondering, have I lived up to the expectations of others? Well, if you've said yes to any of these questions, don't worry, you're not alone. And I think it's very normal to feel these exact feelings at some point in life. And I'd be lying if I hadn't admit that I've obviously had a few feelings of these on my own. Hello everyone, welcome back to today's discussion. I'm super excited to talk to you about this topic because it's something that's been weighing on my heart heavy and I'm very passionate about. And that is understanding mental health and the importance of overall healthy well-being, as well as valuing and understanding the concept that you are enough. You know, and I honestly think that's super important in today's society where we're constantly being bombarded and overstimulated of the new thing or whatever, you know? So I never really had the courage to speak about this topic because, let's be honest, I still think that I still struggle with my mental health from time to time, if I'm being completely honest. But I think that's what we need nowadays is that genuine transparency of telling someone, you know, or just that transparency of knowing that, you know, this still is the thing that someone struggles with and that it is okay. You're not alone. So to give you a little bit of a background, I moved to LA all by myself at 18 years old right after high school. And I came out here with the intention of wanting to continue to pursue my music career, my acting career, and that's something that many desire, but only few really achieve. So you're probably wondering, how does this 18-year-old girl have the cooties and the confidence just to pick up where she's at and move all the way across the country by herself? Well, here's the answer. You know, to be quite honest with you, I just wasn't tainted by the world yet. You know, my innocence was very much still intact. I was almost borderline naive about things because I just had such an amazing upbringing in a small town community. And I think that's one thing that I value in a small town is that there are more genuine connections than you would find in a big city. And that's probably my personal opinion, but that's how I kind of in my journey had seen it. And so growing up in a small town with like 3,000 people and 30 kids in your graduating class and then moving to a city like LA, your perspective on just life in general and how you view people out here is different. You know, your perspective, you come from a little bit more of a humbling experience and then you come out here and you see people that are so overpowered by greed and, you know, X, Y, and Z, you know? It was that fine line where it was very easy for me to understand that this is the world I live in, but you are not of the world, right? And honestly, I feel like I've personally been through so many very tough, challenging life situations that have really changed the trajectory of my life. And it wasn't until in those moments when I was at rock bottom that I realized that I truly needed to value mental health and the importance of your self-worth, right? So I know everyone has their own individual journey and their mental health, but this is my own version of the conversation. And so please let me know if something resonates with you or if you do the same tactics that I've chosen. Understanding mental health. Mental health is more than just the presence of a mental disorder, right? I believe it's made up of 3 components, and this is what they are. I believe it's your emotional, your physiological, and your social well-being all together. And it totally shapes our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions. So when we're having like a bump in the road or something that's unexpected or disrupts our life, and of course it's going to affect our thoughts. And then when it affects your thoughts, that's your overall mental health. That's the whole stability of what I'm talking about. So for me, I feel like here are the few things that I try to do to avoid to get to that point. But sometimes it's hard, right? So the first thing you want to do is you want to avoid this, but you don't want to fall in the trap of not feeling good enough. And then you always wonder where it begins, right? So 1, avoiding the trap of not feeling good enough and where it begins. Why do so many of us struggle with feelings of self-worth? You want to know what I think? This is what I think. I believe the trap starts with those who feel the need to fit in with societal pressures. Hear me out, and this is what I mean. Even from the early Instagram days, we have constantly bombarded with photos about what we think success looks like, whether that be in careers, relationships, or the lifestyle that someone wanted to portray. And in 2012, 2013, when Instagram and Snapchat was like so new, so hot, it was the it thing. People were only posting highlights and fun memories, and which was great. I mean, that's the point. You want to share these memories with, you know, your viewers and your friends. But there's a fine line where some of those were just going extremely overboard, and they were really amplifying their lives, not only amplifying it, but glamorizing it in a very inauthentic way. And I just feel like for me, that constant unrealistic comparison can truly make anyone feel like they're always lacking, whether it's not being smart enough, attractive enough, or successful enough. And then it's a vicious cycle where we unintentionally put our self-worth and tie it into external validation, because once we get something and we see someone else get something else, or the better version of that, or something X, Y, and Z, then your human nature is going to be like, well, wow, I want that new version. I want this new shinier thing, or this new car, or this new bag. And then we lose sight of our own value. And that's, I kind of feel like, is a slippery slope of social media nowadays. And I honestly believe 1000% social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever people are consuming their content on nowadays, that is the gateway trap of never feeling good enough. So yeah, it's just really, I think having this conversation and really speaking about it out loud, it's reminding me to be very thoughtful and mindful and aware of who you follow and what kind of content you consume on a daily basis. Also, this one is extremely important. I feel like it is so important to surround yourself with kind, authentic, genuine people who are genuinely living in the moment and enjoying life, right? Instead of those who are living for the IG moments and finding something to do just to post, or trying to live a life, or trying to start posting to maintain a life that they want to portray that is not quite real and authentic. And so, yeah, you might not think this matters when it comes to who you surround yourself by, but it does. And you have to pay attention to the conversations you're having with your friends when it comes to jobs, money, materialistic things. And this topic of discussion will truly show one's character, and then from there you can decide if who's in your corner is truly living life genuinely supporting you, or are they carefully watching you. So how do we avoid the trap of never feeling good enough? You know what I would say? Avoid it, get off it, block it, get rid of it, and only start consuming boss women, educational content only. Okay, so now that I've addressed the trap, and if you've gotten into the trap, like I've been myself many times before, it's okay. These are the few things that you do to redirect your thinking. So these are ways to deal with your feelings of inadequacy. This is the easiest thing that you can do and requires little to no effort at all, but just changing your perspective. When you start to have feelings of, am I not good enough? You really have to ask yourself, is there real proof around that I'm not good enough? And a lot of times, these thoughts are just feelings and not facts. And when you really look at the evidence, you may actually see that you're not doing that bad. 2, stop unfair comparisons. Do you sometimes compare your weak points to someone else's strong points? Okay, remember, everyone has their own individual journey and path, and comparing 2 different lives isn't fair for you. And honestly, it's just doing more harm and more damage down the road, and it's just not helping your self-esteem at all whatsoever. And it's never gonna happen. So just the comparing, as much as you know, I want to have a better answer for you, I don't, because it's something that I still struggle with on a daily basis. Let's be honest. I love this one. Number 3, think about your strengths. So make a list of the things that you're good at and the things that you've achieved recently over the years. And these don't have to be like big ground winning awards, okay? They can be something small, like being kind, or working hard, or treating others the way you want to be treated. And I feel like that alone, that list and whatever you write down is so precious and special, because it's your individual list. And whatever you bring to that table, whatever you bring to that person or that connection, no one else is going to have those exact same answers that you are. And that's very special and very unique, and that's so worthy, so worthy. Number 4, accept that you're not perfect. You have to ask yourself, what's the worst thing that could happen if I'm not perfect? And I feel like oftentimes we overthink and worry too much about being perfect, when in reality, nobody is perfect. That we forget to think that making mistakes is essential, and making mistakes is how we learn and we grow and become better. And so, yeah, I feel like once we kind of get over the fact that we're not perfect, and just that's the faster you'll learn. So the fifth and final thing is probably one of my favorite topics to discuss, but you want to do things that make you feel good. That could be self-care, that could be picking up a new hobby, that could be reading a new book series, that could be starting a new TV series, that could be anything that there's something that you wanted to do and set aside time for yourself that you haven't had time to do. And I feel like in today's society especially, it is so easy to get bogged down with the daily rituals that we have, whether it's going to work or, being a mom or being a content creator or being, doing any service, being a business owner, having a restaurant. I just feel like we get so tired. It's easy to get so tired and lost in the confuzzle of things, especially in a city like LA. I feel like LA, this is kind of off topic, but I feel like living in California is like a conveyor belt. And if you want to slow down, even if you don't, even if you just need like a little bit of a break, life isn't going to slow down around for you. Okay. So it's just going to keep taking you along with it. And you're either going to hop on that train or you're going to be gone and lost forever and like the forever carts behind. Okay. And I just feel like just setting time, specifically really intentionally setting time and writing it down and making appointments and making arrangements to set that time aside for you to do things that make you feel good and prioritize yourself. That is the first form of any validation that you are good enough. Like when you start taking care of yourself and your skin, like for ladies, okay, if you start taking care of your health and your skin and your nails, and you take care of yourself, I feel like that resonates with other people, that she cares, she has self-worth and value, and it does make a difference. The power of self-acceptance. Self-acceptance is understanding that perfection is unattainable and should not be a necessary goal. And it's also about acknowledging your strengths and also your weaknesses. It's about acknowledging your strengths and weaknesses and also knowing that both are integral parts of who you are. And this acceptance allows you to be much kinder to yourself and appreciate your uniqueness and grow from a place of self-love rather than a place of self-criticism. It's a journey, and it involves daily practice where you have to remind yourself that you are enough just as you are. You have to verbally tell yourself. It's a daily affirmation. That's going to be that. I feel like for my new year, for 2024, that was my new year mantra I wanted to go in with, is that I need to know for myself, I need to tell myself every day that I am enough. You are enough just as you are for everything that you're doing, everything that you're serving, and you're in your life for a reason, and everything is happening for a reason. So I had to sit here and change the position up a little bit because my daughter woke up and I am feeding her currently. See her little hands spike up. But I wanted to finish this topic. Because I feel like it's still super important, but self-acceptance truly means understanding that perfection is unattainable and an unnecessary goal. And I feel like the sooner we understand this concept, the quicker we'll be on the path of being more genuinely happy and more content with what we have already in our lives. And it's also about acknowledging your strengths and your weaknesses. And I feel like both strengths and weaknesses are very important in the person that you play today. It's a huge role of who you are. And this acceptance allows you to be, this approach and this acceptance allows you to be a lot kinder to yourself and appreciate your uniqueness and grow from a place of self-love rather than self-criticism. And it's a journey, and it involves daily practice where you have to remind yourself. And I think that's kind of where I wanted to come in with 2024, a newer, renewed mindset. And my new mantra was going to be telling myself that you are enough, that I am enough, that I don't need anything else, and that I should be content and happy, and with whatever happens. And the next few years to come happens because they are meant to happen in my life. And I'm so excited for the next